Hello and a very good morning, everyone. I hope you all are fit and healthy and you're taking all the precautions from the virus. And of course, the vaccines are out. It is a good news, but still, you need to take precautions from the virus and eat healthy, stay healthy, and of course, you need to also make your immune system strong. So, you need to keep on exercising every day, right? Exercise keeps your immune system strong and healthy, also your diet with it. So you must be thinking, why am I talking about sports and exercising so much? I really appreciate sports, and I also promote sports a lot. So you all can see I'm also wearing a super active sports t-shirt today. So that is the reason that I was talking about sports and exercise. I talk about exercise and keeping yourself healthy, but today is something more unique. I have worn this t-shirt as well, so I thought let's promote it. All right, so let's come to the topic. And today's lecture is about special English, SYBA students, and we will be doing the continuation of the topic that we've done last. So, the people who have watched my last previous video, you all will know what we were doing in the last video. That was poetry on written by William Shakespeare, and the poetry is Sonnet 3. So, in Sonnet 3, we have already discussed the character list. We have discussed what is the poetry about. So, the people who have not watched the video yet, please go behind in my previous videos on the channel and watch the video so that you get proper information about that poetry. Today, we'll be moving forward. We will be seeing what is the theme of the poetry, and then we will be discussing the glossary, that is, the important words of the poetry. Now, often, if the important words of the poetry are very difficult, I mean, the words in the poetry are very difficult, and that is the reason I discuss words, important words in the poetry. It sounds very childish, as if we are doing question answers, and like school we're doing meanings of the words, but in poetry you need to know each and every word's meaning. Otherwise you miss out one word in the poetry and everything is gone. I mean, you will not understand the lines of the poetry, the meaning behind it. So it's very necessary, right? So that is the reason we'll be doing glossary, and we will be discussing few question answers as well. So let's start. I'll just give you a gist about what all we did in the previous video. So we spoke about the poet, who's the poet, William Shakespeare, what are sonnet about. It is a 14-line poetry. How it is divided is discussed in the previous video. And how William Shakespeare started writing sonnets, and there are a couple of sonnets. So this is not the only sonnet, this is only one part, that is sonnet 3. There are many more sonnets that William Shakespeare wrote on his own life stories. So, in detail is discussed in the previous video. And then we also discussed about the poetry. So, this sonnet 3, the poetry, we discussed about it. And what are the character list? Then there's a fair lord, a young man. Now, that does not mean he's talking about a particular young man, but he's talking to the youth, the young people of the youth who are fair, not fair in complexion, but fair in their nature and behavior, who like to be with the truthful, right? And who are amongst the good character people or the good natured people. So he's talking to the young men of the time, that is the youth, and also he's talking about the distraction. uh, According to him, he has just taken one story of distraction, that is the dark lady, wherein she's not a right kind of lady and she's distracting all the other men, as well as the good lord. So even the good people can be distracted at times. This is a story about it. So no matter how good you are, you're not an angel, right? We are human beings. We tend to make mistakes. So everyone, including me, including everyone that you see and you meet on this earth, is going to make a mistake, has been made mistakes, and in future will make mistakes, because we all are human beings. So we tend to make mistakes. It is our um, right duty that whatever mistake we have made, we should make sure that we do not continue making the same mistake. So making mistake is not a mistake, but continuing the mistake is a mistake. I hope you all got that thing. Right. So let's go ahead. So this poetry is all about how the youth, and how there are so many distractions about to the youth, and how there are people who distract the youth, even the good people of the youth, right? So this story is all about that. And I already read the poetry in the last video. So today we will just see what theme the poetry is about, little bit summary about the poetry, and then we'll go to the glossary, that is the important words. So I'm sharing my screen here. All right, so I'll just start from the beginning. But I'm not going to read everything, I'm so sorry. I'll not read everything here. I hope if you'll want to see about the poetry, you'll need to go to the previous video and then watch it. Also, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up, and subscribe the channel so that you can see more videos relating English language. For the first year and second year students, even there are question answers that are discussed, so it will help you out throughout your examination preparations, and also to prepare yourself for, I mean, to know all the information about what is given in the book. You do not even require the book if you don't have it. You can just simply watch the videos and get knowledge of whatever is there. So let's move forward. We did sonnet 3 here. Then we had a study guide about Shakespeare's sonnet. What is it about? And I'm so sorry, this is the summary. Then we discussed the character list. So the first one was Fair Lord, and then Dark Lady. So today we'll be seeing the themes of the poetry. The first theme of the poetry is the ravages of time. Now, what do you mean by this? Shakespeare's sonnet open with an earnest plea from the narrator to the fair lord, begging him to find a woman to bear his child so that his beauty might be preserved for posterity. Now, Shakespeare is actually pleading, I mean, the author and the writer is Shakespeare, right? So, Shakespeare's sonnet is, I mean, this sonnet 3 is actually pleading the younger generation, not one fair lord, but all the fair people of the younger generation who are behind all materialistic things, or who are behind, let me be a little more open and say, who are behind the women who are not right for them, not the youth, as in the studying youth, but he's talking about even the studying youth, and also the youth who's about to marry, right, in the age of marriage. So what happens mostly, mostly for the men, they start falling for the woman who is not right for them, right, and who's not right to bear their child. So only because maybe for some reasons, maybe the looks, maybe some other things, maybe the status, or there are many more things that people fall for, right? So he's actually pleading the youth, the younger generation who's about to marry and bring a new generation ahead. He's telling them, do not fall prey of the about, I mean, do not fall prey of the other woman who is just trying to distract you, or maybe not about even women. Do not fall prey for any other activities or any other things that is distracting you from your way, from your career, from your right path, and do not fall into the bad category. He just wants this. So the theme of the poetry is, do not fall prey in the bad category, being surrounded by bad people. Just be with the good people, and with the good. Of course, when you are in the age of marrying, marry a good woman who can bear your child, so that your beauty as well as your work, your character will be preserved with that child, right? So in Sonnet 2, the poet writes, when 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, how much more praise deserved your beauty's use? If you could answer, the fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse. Providing his beauty by succession seen, the poet is laminating the ravages of time and its detrimental effects on the Lord's beauty. So, beauty is not only the facial beauty or how the looks are. Beauty is a package actually, wherein of course a good personality is included, wherein the way you speak, your nature, your character, how you connect with people, right? So this all comes into beauty. He has used the word beauty, but beauty is not the physical beauty. It is physical, with it goes many more things. All right, so he's saying that, come on, if you are challenging the old people, there is a younger generation who's going to come. And if the youth of this time will have good choices, there will be a good generation ahead, right? So, this is the whole purpose of the story, I mean, the poetry. Now, love versus carnal lust. The divide between the fair lord sonnets and the dark lady is also a divide between two forms of interpersonal interaction. While the narrator of the sonnets is clearly infatuated with both the fair lord and the dark lady, the language he uses to describe these infatuations shows them to be a desperate nature, to be of desperate natures. The lack of explicit sexual imagery in the Fair Lord sonnets has led most scholars to categorize this infatuation as an example of platonic love. That is a form of amorous affection of any sexual element. Now, here he's saying the Fair Lord is with the Dark Lady for some purpose, right? Now, here they have said the purpose of sexual element, right? So you all can understand by this, there are people who distract you in various ways. So if you are focused in your path, you will not fall prey for all these things, right? So it's right from this age up to the age of marriage, you need to be focused on what you are doing and not on the bad things that people will try to come and pull you down and take you towards the bad thing. So it can be friends, it can be a girl, it can be anyone, right? Anyone whom you're with, right? So it's upon you, it's your responsibility to handle your own self. You know, selfishness and greed is another theme for the poetry. The themes of selfishness and greed are prevalent throughout the sonnets as a whole, emerging most perceptibly in the narrator's hypocritical expectation of faithfulness from the fair lord and the dark lady. The poet seems at times to advance a double standard on the issue of faithfulness. He's unfaithful himself, yet he condemns, is even surprised by the unfaithfulness of others. So now here he's saying he actually expects the fair lord to be faithful, right? Now, the fair lord has already fallen into a bad company, right, of the dark lady. So that's why he is asking for what he's fallen in with the dark lady, because of his selfish, I mean, his selfish needs, right, his greed for something. So that is the reason he wants faithfulness from the fair lord that he's not getting, and therefore he's this theme he has put for the poetry is selfishness and greed. Now the themes are done. Let's move forward to the glossary part. Couplet. Now you'll find a two-line typically rhyming unit of a verse. It means a couplet. So it you will find couplet in various places whenever you're reading about poetry. So always remember two-line. Couplet, couple, couples are always two, right? The boy and the girl. So couplet is always two lines and typically rhyming unit of the verse. So What is a couple? In a family, if you say this is a big family and there are three couples in the family, that means there are three people, husband, wife, husband, wife, husband, wife, right? And they typically rhyming, so they're similar to each other. All right. Now, what do you mean by early modern English? The English language, as it was between the years 1485 and 1650, featuring slight but noticeably differences from modern English is spelling, pronunciation, and grammar. All right. Now, the previous, I mean, the early English and the modern English, that means the old English and the new English, has various differences. It can be in spellings, pronunciation, grammar, many things. So this is the actual meaning of early modern English. That means the previous, the old English. Right now, iambic pentameter. This is multiple times explained by me. A poetic meter comprising of 5 feet. Now, what do you mean by 5 feet and all? I have explained you all the units and all the elements of poetry in the introduction. This is also on the channel. If you need to know what is iambic meter, pentameter, and all the different elements of poetry, you all can go back on the channel and watch my videos on special English for the second year students, wherein I've explained everything in detail. So each foot consisting of an unstressed or short syllable followed by a stressed or a long syllable, making each line 10 syllables long. Variation on this meter are common. Now, this thing I've in detail explained about iambic pentameter. I've made one whole video on it, so you can go back on the channel and watch it. Now, what is a quatrain? Even this is an element of poetry, a four line. Quatrain means four, typically rhyming unit of the verse, such as couplet, that is 2 line, and quatrain is 4 line. This is also explained in the elements of poetry. Shakespearean sonnet. Now, of course, you need to know what do you mean by sonnet, because the name of the poetry itself tells sonnet, right? There are many sonnets released by Shakespeare. It was not released by Shakespeare, but written by Shakespeare and published by other people. Named after its most famous practitioner, this sonnet form comprises three quatrains and a closing couplet written in an iambic pentameter with a rhyme scheme of A B A B, C D C D, E F E F, and G G, also known as the Elizabethan sonnet. Now, Queen Elizabeth has not written it, so don't think that it is an Elizabethan sonnet. That means she has written it. So it was Shakespeare was at the time of Queen Elizabeth, and during her time, these sonnets were released, and she preferred to read sonnets as it was written by a great personality. So that is why it is also known as Elizabethan sonnet, because it has published at her time. Now, sonnet is a poem of 14 lines, typically featuring intentional rhyme. There is a rhyme scheme, regular meter is there, and a logical structure is there. It depends on real life situations. All right. So this was all the glossary words, that is the important words. Now there are few more in this book that I'm referring to. This is the book I have already shown it many times. I'm referring to, and I'll just go through some more words in this from this book so that you all can get a gist of all the words. Now, fresh repair is there in this poetry. Fresh repair is referring to youth, the freshness of the youth, right? Young people are very fresh. Of course, old people, if they have a personality, even they are very charming and good. But young people are all round fresh, right? They look fresh, so the youth is called freshness. Now, the next one is unblessed. That means that is not blessed, of course. It also means to not get a woman pregnant. That means do not have all the do not fall into the bad category with the bad woman, right? And then it is unearned womb. is also used in the poetry. Refers to a woman who has not yet become pregnant. The imagery in these lines are almost entirely agricultural. Now, it depends on the poetry, how and what they are referring to. It all depends upon they are referring to the black, I mean, the dark lady, right? In this. Okay, husbandry. It is into an agricultural term. Farm and estate manager once again refers to the act of the same thing. All right. Fond, foolish. Thigh is yours. Thigh is a word used in Shakespearean language. So thigh is yours. Thine also is yours. Now, thigh is your without an S, and thine is yours. Calls back is to recall someone, to just think about someone that happened or something that happened in past. Posterity is all future generations. So not only the youth, I mean the young, the generation that is of now of 2021, you can say, but all the generations that are going to come in future. This means by all the, I mean these are all the words that I covered in the poetry. I hope you all understood the poetry, the theme of the poetry, all the characters of the poetry, and what was the purpose of the poetry, right? It was a very different kind of poetry as sonnets are all based on real situations of Shakespeare, right? So I hope you all got everything what you all needed from the poetry, and keep watching my videos. Give it a like if you all have liked the video, of course. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourself.